Hey guys, today we're in the book of Genesis, chapter 29. So here we see Jacob leaves his home, and now he is going to back where Abraham is from, back to Babylon, back to the Ur of Chaldeans. And he comes upon walking and walking, and all of a sudden he comes upon some shepherds and a well. In verse 4, he asks them, "Where do you come from?" Now remember, there's not like there was a lot of road signs back then, right? No GPS, no map. So he really didn't know that he was in the right place. But they said, "Hey, we're from Haran." And he's like, "That's where I'm supposed to be. Do you know my uncle Laban?" And they said, not only did they say yes, but they said yes. And here comes his daughter, Rachel. And so notice verse 7, it said, "Behold, it is still high in the day. It is time for the livestock to be gathered. Water your sheep and go." Right. So it's kind of like what guys do today, right? That here comes a beautiful young lady. And so he tells all the other guys, "Hey, get out of here." Right. You need to get out of here. I want to talk to this cute lady. Right. And so they said, "No, we can't, because she's bringing the rest of the sheep," because we see that Rachel was a shepherdess. And so she's bringing rest of the sheep, and she comes near, and notice what Jacob does. Verse 10, it says, "And when she came near, Jacob came near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother." He moved this huge rock, right? This kind of, think of a well, flat rock sitting on top of it so nothing would contaminate it. And so all the shepherds are waiting for somebody to get there so that they can do it. And Jacob walks up and he's kind of, "Let me show you what I can do." And he moves this huge stone, once again, just trying to impress her. And as soon as Laban heard the news, he invited him to his house. And notice at the end of verse 14, it says, "And he stayed with him a month." Now, that surely goes past kind of the normal hospitality of the ancient Near East. But you have to think, the last time that Laban sit here with a man that wanted a wife, he became rich, right? If you remember that, Abraham's servant gives him a bunch of gold and a bunch of stuff for Isaac's wife. And now here's Isaac's son, which he knows, right? One day he's going to inherit a lot of money. And so he invites him, and he's kind of schmoozing him for a month, right? Saying, "Hey, I want some money. What's going on here?" And then Laban said to Jacob, "Hey, you can't stay here forever. Like what's the deal?" And Jacob says, "Well, I want to marry your daughter." And he says, "What's your price?" Now, even though Jacob is rich, it's really, he's not, his dad is rich. But when he left with no money. So he has no money. He has no dowry to pay to get Leah, to get Rachel. And so he has to work, right? So Laban says, "Hey, work for me for 7 years and I'll give her to her." And that's exactly what happens. We can see here, it's like a Hallmark movie, that Jacob loved Rachel. He works for 7, and he even says, "These 7 years seem like a few days because I loved you so much," right? Ultimate Hallmark movie. And when the 7 years were up, Jacob came to Laban and he said, "Hey, it's time for the wedding. It's time for the honeymoon," right? And so Laban gathered everybody together. Notice it says he made a feast. That means he got a wedding together, right? He's going to have a week-long wedding. In the evening, he took his daughter. Notice this, Leah, not Rachel, right? He loved Rachel. He wanted Rachel, but he took Leah and brought her into Jacob and went into her. Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to the daughter Leah's servant. In the morning, behold, it was Leah, and Jacob said to Laban, "What is this that you have done for me? Did I not serve you with Rachel? Why have you deceived me?" Seems weird when we read this, but just remember, Jacob is the deceiver. The deceiver has been deceived. He got a little bit of his own medicine, right? And so basically, Laban tricks him, right? On his night, he was probably had a little too much wine. It's dark. There's not street lights. She would have been veiled. They go honeymoon, and when you wake up the next morning, it's not Rebecca, right? And you notice it says, "What is this that you have done to me?" If you remember, these are the same words that the king said to Abraham and to Isaac when they sinned, when they said, she's my sister, right? They tricked them. And now we have Jacob saying the same thing to Laban. What is this that you have done? And basically he said, hey, in our country, we don't give away the youngest. We start with the oldest. And he says, if you really want her, you can work 7 more years. And he agrees to that. And he works 7 more years. And verse 30, it says, so Jacob went into Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and served Laban for another 7 years. And so now we have Jacob, who has 2 wives. Each wife has a servant, okay? But he really loves Rachel. That's the one that he fell in love with at the beginning. That's the beautiful one. That's all that he wants. But notice verse 31. It's a great verse. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. This shows you the heart of God, right? The heart of God. None of this was Leah's fault, okay? Her dad is the one that tricked him. Leah is married to a man who does not even love her. And now he has Rachel, the beautiful one, the one that he really loves. And so she's just down and out. And God notices that. Leah was innocent, and God showed her compassion, and he opened up her womb, and she began to have children. She has Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. She produces 4 sons when Rachel, the one that he loves, produces none. Now, there's something here that just will keep happening in this chapter and will continue to happen in the next chapter. Notice this. After she has Reuben, notice what Leah says. She called his name Reuben, for she said, because the Lord has looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me. She conceived again and bore a son, and she said, because the Lord has heard me. Again, she conceived and bore a son, and said, now this time my husband will be attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Leah has an idea that many women have today, that just because they have sex with somebody, that means a man will love them. That is not the case. It's not the case. And here it's proof. She's married to a man. And the man has sex with her multiple times, enough to have child after child after child. But notice, he never loves her. It's just a principle for us to know and to take to heart, especially for the ladies and the women and the girls who are watching this. Sex does not equal love, period. But in this, here's what's interesting about this. Where do we see Jesus in this chapter? Leah, the unloved of the 2, has 2 of the greatest tribes of Israel. She has Levi, which becomes the priestly tribe. And then she has Judah, which becomes the royal tribe. And it is through the tribe of Judah that the Messiah will come. So the down and out, the one with not good eyes, the one that he doesn't love, is the one that God uses. God will always use the down and out. He will always use the weak. He will always use the different, because there his miracle and his glory is magnified. Hope that makes sense. We'll see you tomorrow in chapter 30. God bless.